Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1443. And it's Mike Matthews broadcasting from Café Anyway, located somewhere in Podcastro Valley, Mont. Today, Benita, the disgruntled fiddle player, the brewmaster. We got some interesting news today, too. We'll get to, it's called A Fine Article, is what we'll get to today and discuss some stuff.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I am only, this is, oh my gosh, this is the second to the last show till I'm in Florida.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
I'm going to Florida. I've talked about that on my podcast. Yeah, it's cool, because I'm gonna go there and see my mom. I guess I'm a fool, because I booked this flight a month ago before that hurricane, and then I decided that I would use my brain and keep going, even though despite the fact that it got battered.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
But my mom's got power and everything's happy and all that. Oh, hey, we heard from Haley too recently.
Mike's
in a text.
Daily
Haley texted me.
Podcast.
And though Haley's not here every single day that I come into work anymore, Haley does still listen to the show. And Haley's quality control listens to the show to make sure I got the facts, the Equifax. That did not go the way I wanted it to. Look who just walked in. Hi, Mark. It's Benita the Rodeo Queen. How you doing?
It's disgruntled fiddle player. Tell you what.
What?
You shouldn't make fun of Equifax, because like all my credit was in that. Now all those hacker people know what I am and do and stuff, and they're gonna take my trailer away.
They are. That's their first target, is your trailer. Look who else walked in.
Oh, Mike, I make the delicious Irish beer. I'm the brewmaster. Oh, boy, have some.
Yes. I think that's that's how I will respond to the characters, the Café Anyway characters. It's just go, yes. Uh-huh. Okay.
Anyway.
You've got to be kidding me.
Maybe that too. Maybe I'll say that as well. Well, yeah, so Haley responded to something I said, and we'll get to that in a moment in a segment called Emails from Email and Your Comment, Not So Comments. But first, I think there's another one starting. Ba-da-dum, bum, bum. Here's another segment from my podcast. And that is, the podcast picture today is a drawing with someone who also just walked in just now. Hello, Michael Matthews, Madame Ruda, I can't wait to be in your cartoon. Oh, I was just watching a thing about a guy named Fred Morgan, something like that. He was in Disney for many years. And then he left Disney. He worked on Sleeping Beauty. Very elaborate animation in that. Just the most amazing animation. He was a big part of that. A big part of animating the dance scene with the penguins and whatnot in Mary Poppins. And then he left Disney, tried to start his own thing. Worked on the early days of Bill Cosby's Fat Albert.
Hey.
And then he ended up on many Hanna-Barbera cartoons. In fact, he was just listing them one after another, all the shows, and I was, wow, those were all the cartoons I watched as a kid. Amazing. He worked on every single one. Captain Caveman and all the others. Godzilla. There was a Godzilla cartoon with Godzuki. There was, oh gosh, something called, was it Laugh Olympics? Anyway, there was Café Anyway. There was a bunch of cartoons he worked on. Then he came back to Disney and okay, so this was kind of interesting. He met a girl who was 18. He was 32. He worked with her. They got married. And so that's pretty much a May-December romance. Actually, that's like May and then December of the next year. But who am I to say my ex-wife was younger than me? a little over a decade younger. But hey, that works for some people. Actually, interesting to note that my father was older than my mom by about that many years. So, and then of course we both got divorced. So, but like sometimes it works for people. I don't know. Cafe, I don't know. I mean, anyway.
Anyway.
But hey, look at this interesting thing. It's called...
Oh my God!
Email for email and your calm and not so calm mess.
Hey, I stand corrected. Maybe that's the name of this segment. I stand corrected. Sarah Huckabee Sanders is Mike Huckabee's daughter. No relation to Bernie. She just took her husband's name. Thank you, Haley. Haley clarified everything. Everything is now cleared. Yay. 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 No, in the podcast, I was talking about it'd be funny if they were related with that Sanders, but yeah, I didn't know if that was no relation to Bernie. So we have it from the horse's mouth. That horse, Nilly. That's my horse. Thanks, Benita. Hey, Benita, when I was with Haley over the weekend and Becca, we ran into, at the Podcastro Valley Fall Festival, we ran into a rodeo queen, a young rodeo queen who was lassoing a not alive horse. And it was a wonderful experience. And she told us, hey, you guys should go to the rodeo. And I didn't want to get into the whole politics of how rodeos can be cruel to animals and whatnot, but we just kind of sidestepped that. We side-saddled that and did not discuss that with her, and she was very nice and all dressed up, like you are all the time, Benita. Thanks, Mike. I'm glad you noticed, but I'm going to leave now so I can lasso my real horse. Bye, bye. Oh my God, Nilly left a steamer. Hey, what poop jokes are fun? Hey, you know what? If your favorite comedian tells a lot of poop jokes, then you have great taste in comedy. And I applaud you. No fake applause. This is me applauding. And it hurts my hands. When I do this, it hurts my hands. I went so Will Ferrell just then. I gotta do a Will Ferrell drop.
I'm kind of a big deal.
All right. One more. This one that goes like this.
You look like a succulent baby lamb.
It makes me laugh like a little lamb.
It's 130% true.
And what is prettier and more cute than a little lamb? You know, I love counting lambs and sheep. And 1, 2, 3. End of scene. End of scene. End of that scene's ended. Done. Thank you. Fake applause. Okay, I'm gonna zip through some things really quick here. We're almost at 10 minutes into the show, so I'm gonna zip through some things real quick. First off, I'm training this guy. I'm always training people, it seems, but I'm training this guy. He's almost my age. When I train, here's the thing: if you're a student, don't learn angry. Don't be an angry student. Don't talk back to the teacher. The whole time I'm teaching this guy, he's like, well, why does it have to be that way? Why do I have to do that work? Well, why do I have to do this? Just do it and shut up. Oh my gosh, you would not believe how this guy resists me at every turn. Look, I have simplified this, so I've dumbed it down. Really dumbed it down. Dumb. And now you are still questioning me with the dumb. So dumb, and you're still resisting me. Stop it. Just sit there and learn and write stuff down. I have complained about that often on recent podcasts about how when you're training people and they don't write stuff down, that is so just... Okay, and this whole Equifax thing. All right, Equifax's stock has hit it's just bottomed. Their shares have just bottomed out as of this recording. Somebody came in here that I work with, threw his smartphone on the table, and said, hey, right now, sign into Equifax, tell them the last 4 digits of your social security and your last name, and check out your credit. Now. Do it now. Now. And I'm like, I'm going to drop everything right now and do that for you. Well, first off, that's rude, right? Someone walking in and just throwing their phone at you and saying, do it now. I'm not going to drop everything. He goes, yeah, you are going to drop everything, like kiddingly. And I go, yeah, like I'm going to drop this pen in your eye. That's pretty good, huh? I came up with that on my own. Yes, that was so good. I just did that. And then he kind of laughed and walked out. But seriously, I'll do what I want to do. And I don't feel like giving Equifax my information. I don't even want them to have my last 4 digits of my social security number. Screw them. They didn't tell us that they had been breached. They waited a month before telling the public. No. I talked to someone that I trust about what I should do. He gave me a phone number. He didn't tell me what the phone number was to. It could be Uncle Vinny's Break Your Knuckles credit report company. Hey, we take care of things for you. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. And I just offended everyone on the East Coast.
Busted eardrums.
No, I didn't. No, it was a playful accent. You can make fun of us Californians now. Dude, like, that's like so bogus. If everybody had a nose. Oh, wax up my surfboard. Let's go for a ride in the tube, dude. Oh my God. Go! And anywho, FCC is going to take away net neutrality. FCC basically now, they can start counting sheep because they're not going to do a ding-dong-dang thing and let Verizon and all the cable company, Comcast and everybody just basically make sure that Mike's Daily Podcast is never heard by anyone ever again. Which, this whole net neutrality thing disappearing because of Trump, because of the Republicans, because of Ajit Pai. Hey, you know what? I've already got the net neutrality thing has been torn away from me because of Facebook. Facebook, whenever I used to post back 8 years ago when I was on Facebook and I would post a new podcast, everybody could see my podcast. Everybody would be like, oh, Mike, what's this? What's this, a podcast? Oh, that's awesome. They could see it. Now when I post something on Facebook, nobody ever sees it. Nobody, because I don't fit, because Facebook shoved all these stupid algorithms in our face. And now their whole plan is to make sure that you stay on Facebook as long as possible. So they know you're not interested in Mike's Daily Podcast, so they don't show it up in your news feed. I hate Facebook. Oh, do I hate them. Ugh. That being said, my Facebook page is facebook.com/Mike's Daily Podcast. And I think we'll just jump into this last story that Bitcoin is getting slammed. Not only China has banned it or put all these restrictions on it. Now, JP Morgan and the Diamond guy, John Diamond, JP Diamond, I don't know. I could look it up. I have a computer in front of me, but I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy. JP Morgan said it's a pyramid scheme, Bitcoin. And the Diamond guy said it was a fraud. So that's that. And that wraps up today's edition of I Talked a Lot and Said Nothing. I hope you enjoyed it.
Is you blind?
A little bit. Thank you.
Are you out of your mind?
Sorry, let's get to the website, mikesdailypodcast.com, a wonderful place that you can go to and listen to this show. You can also see past podcast pictures, and you can help out the show. That's the best way to help us out, other than listening, is to help us out. If you're going to buy anything on Amazon, just do that quick little click on the Amazon icon at mikesdailypodcast.com and do your shopping, and it helps us out. We get a little, like, I don't know, what is it? It's like a tiny, teeny, tiny commission. And then there's the PayPal if you'd like to help us out that way. There'll be a special greeting from all the Café Anyway characters and an MP3 sent to you. You'll become an inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster and celebrate life. Hey, speaking of that Facebook page, I lost another fan, so now I'm down to 130. My peak was 132, and now it's 130. I must have offended someone with my wonderful Eastern accent impression. Hey, let's get to this wonderful segment called
A Fine Article.
You silly, great, fat article.
Oh, boy. President Trump denied that his dinner with Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer had resulted in a deal that would address the fate of undocumented immigrants brought to the U.S. as children under the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, or DACA. He said it was wrong. No deal made last night on DACA, he tweeted. Early. This very morning, he tweeted it. But on Wednesday night, the two leaders had announced that they had agreed to a law that would protect DACA recipients and that the law would also include border security, excluding the wall. Let's jump over here to that horrible story from Florida. The owner of the Florida nursing home where 8 people died had a history of fraud charges. The owner of the nursing facility where 8 people died Wednesday during a power outage caused by Hurricane Irma has a history of healthcare fraud charges. His name is Dr. Jack Mitchell. And in 2006, he settled claims after he and 5 others were accused of agreeing to send patients to his Miami hospital, Larkin Community, for unnecessary treatment. Federal prosecutors said that Mitchell received kickbacks as part of the deal and that some of the patients came from assisted living facilities that he owned. Larkin Community Hospital is affiliated with the Rehabilitation Center at Hollywood Hills Nursing Home in Florida, where 3 men and 5 women died yesterday. He declined to comment. He bought Larkin Community Hospital in 1998. Records show prosecutors said the illegal agreements took place from 97 to 99. Just the seniors there, the patients there had no water, and it's so hot there, no air conditioning, and they perished under those conditions. A North Korean state agency threatened on Thursday to use nuclear weapons to sink Japan and reduce the U.S. to ashes and darkness for supporting the UN Security Council resolution and sanctions over its latest nuclear test. Oh, that's how they responded. With words. The Korea-Asia-Pacific Peace Committee, which handles the North's external ties and propaganda, also called for the breakup of the Security Council, which it called a tool of evil made up of money-bribed countries that move at the order of the U.S. The 4 islands of the archipelago should be sunken into the sea by the nuclear bomb of Juche. Japan is no longer needed to exist near us, the committee said in a statement carried by the North's official news agency. Juche is the North's ruling ideology that mixes Marxism and an extreme form of go-it-alone nationalism preached by state founder Kim Il-sung, the grandfather of the current leader Kim Jong-un. This, according to Reuters. And then Amazon has stopped selling the Fire TV in advance of possible new models. Amid rumors it's planning to introduce new devices, the dedicated landing page for the Fire TV says it's currently unavailable with no date of when it might be back in stock. You can still buy a refurbished one. The Fire TV is also no longer depicted in the carousel on the Fire TV page, so yeah, they're probably doing a new one soon. And then the iPhone X, nope, it's called the iPhone 10. X as in the Roman numeral 10. So, oops on all the times I called it the iPhone X. Oops on that. But you didn't notice, right? Weeks after Apple announced the iPhone X, Samsung threw its own top-tier challenge, the Galaxy Note 8. By the way, you can always comment on this show. Mike's Daily Podcast at gmail.com, or you can call me at 336-MM-DAILY. That's 2 3s, 1 6, and then MM Daily. That didn't make it more confusing. Samsung's most feature-packed phone also introduces its first dual camera setup. pretty good portrait mode, says CNET, and the signature S Pen style is found on every Note phone. It's an excellent device for power users who want to do everything they can do on a phone. The guy I produced the show for, he spent a good part of his show yesterday just totally lauding Apple. He owns stocks in Apple, so he was just totally cheerleading Apple and the wonderful products they came out with on Apple Day, Apple D App Day, in honor of the wonderful band member of Black Eyed Peas who does so much for that band. Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight's gonna be a good night. Turn out the lights. Let's live it up. Here's the rest of my song. One of the things he said was, hey, when I go to the gym, if I see someone with a Samsung phone, I just know they should leave my gym and go to like a 24-hour fitness and get out. Ooh, shots fired. Well, the relatively small boost swung open the door for Apple to walk through. The iPhone X was Apple's chance to shine and win over people who at the end of the day don't really care if they have an iPhone or a Samsung phone. They just want the best phone that money can buy. The thing is, Apple's iPhone X flagship plays it safe in its own way too. Like the Note 8, it will compete most intensely against its own kin, the iPhone 8 and larger iPhone 8 Plus. All three new iPhones share the most important new goodies: wireless charging, a faster processor, and upgraded slow motion. The iPhone X and iPhone 8 Plus both get enhanced portrait mode. Really, the main iPhone X differences are that it's larger, not always a bonus, and has a more colorful screen and OIS on both cameras. Wouldn't that be iOS? Well, I don't know. I'm not that technical. Not just one. You can also take portraits with the front-facing camera. And it's missing the home button, which could be a bonus. You unlock the phone with your face. But might also wind up being a hindrance. You can't seem to unlock it any other way. I don't like that. See, that's the thing Apple does. They give you one way to do something, and that's it. Samsung usually gives you a zillion ways, and I love that. Attached to Face ID is a tiny feature called Animoji, which animates emojis modeled on your facial expressions. That gets old fast. Like Samsung's live message GIFs, it's a little fun, but pretty frivolous. Thank you, CNET. As we go outside a Café Anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valleymont, the last place on earth, thank you for listening to the show. Next show will be my last show till I come back from Florida, which I plan to do a week from this Monday. But hey, you know, that's my plan. And the best laid plans of Mice and Men. Oh, of Mice and Men. That's a great band. Oh, is it of Monsters and Men? I forget. I'm sure Haley will set me straight on that. Enjoy your day. Next show, it's Madame Rutabaga Valentino and Bison Bentley.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com.
Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com.
See you tomorrow. Bye!